Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the fourth of our BGANZ webinars for 2024. My name is Costa Georgiadis, and I am ambassador for BGANZ, and it's given me great pleasure to have been part of the webinar series this year. And we've got a fantastic webinar coming up titled, as you've probably seen in all the promos, the role of friends groups in Botanic Gardens. And we have three fantastic speakers. But before I head into there, I would like to acknowledge that I'm here in the Northern Rivers of New South Wales. It's been fantastic. I've been coming to you from 4 different locations across the month. I was in Arnhem Land. I was down in Bermagui. Then I was in last week I was in Coffs Harbour, and this week I'm in Lismore on Bundjalung country, and very happy to be here, and really happy to see the type of information that we've shared, which is all about caring for country on so many levels. Before we get underway, and we've done this each week, can you type into the chat what word comes to mind when I say Botanic Gardens. Now I'm going to just give this a minute. And if you could also, well, before you do that, type in where you're joining us from so I can see from which part of the country. So which town, but also which country you're on. Like I'm here on Bundjalung. Normally I live down on Gadigal land in Sydney. So let us know where that's at. So while you take a minute, 30 seconds, and type in what word comes to mind. And later on, at the end of our speakers, we have a wonderful compilation of all the words that people have posted when I've asked this question at the beginning of each live broadcast. So I'll give you about 30 seconds. Take that 30 seconds. And while you do that, I'm just going to check in on the Instagram, livers who are joining us. I just have to bring them in. So continue as is for a second. Write it in, but don't post it yet because I want to see. I want to do it as a waterfall and get you to drop them all at once. So I'll give you another 20 seconds while I copy this stream key and install that into our live feed. How are you going? All right, I think I'm almost there. I'm just going to bring we've kind of, this is the first year that we've actually had Instagram be able to join us, which has been good. And I think we're ready to go with the grammars. Oh, wow, I can see lots of comments have come in there, and that gives me a chance to go live with our Instagram. I think we are good. Yes, our Instagram is live as well. So back we go. Now let's have a look at some of these comments. Wow, they're coming in thick and fast. And all the names are in there as well. Wow, thanks everyone. Big welcome. Kalamunda Garden Festival, Giovanni Luca. Hi from Geraldton. We've got Casino. We've got Garingai Country. Relax. Okay, here we go. So let go of all your comments for the word Botanic Gardens. What comes to mind? First up, relaxation from Sally Davies. Thanks, Sally. Joining again from Ngunnawal country down in Canberra. Good on you, Ellie. Preservation, David Ting. Thanks for that one, Tingy. Diversity, Sunshine Coast. Giovanni says trees. Connection, Emma. Pippa, Lucas, enjoyment. Keen, South Brisbane. Ballarat, Wattawong country, and education. Thanks, Stephen McNaught. Ballarat Cemeteries, Wattawong country. Community. Thanks for joining us, Ballarat Cemeteries. John from Bunurong country. Thanks for joining, John. Jumajay country. Where was that one? Geraldton, WA. Conservation for Botanic Gardens. Thanks for that, Linda Poole. Exotic plants. Christine, thank you. Rejuvenation. Wow. Thanks, Ellie. David Swift has got green space. Angela from Auckland Botanic Gardens. Auckland Botanic, the Lost Gardens of Helligan. Native plants, says Janelle. It is Botox of the earth. She tells Jayara. Leamington, verdant. I like that one. I definitely like verdant as a word. Well, thanks everyone. What a great start that has been to the comments, and we'll get you to throw some more comments up at the end when we have a look at the word. What do they call it? A word salad. That's a little bit Greek of me to say that. It's not a word salad. It's got a name. But anyway, Annie Kaysen has said all the way from North Carolina, natives, nature and beauty. And Spencer has joined us from the Sunshine Coast. Good on you, Spence. Lovely to have you with us. The other thing to remember, and we're going to hear a bit about this, is that, of course, we're working towards, across the month of May, Botanic Gardens Day, which is this Sunday. And we're encouraging, of course, everyone to jump out there and get out and a word maze, thank you, or a word cloud, the word cloud. Okay, I've got my lingo right. But we're encouraging everyone to get out there and see what's going on in your botanic gardens, and go for a walk, join a tour, join a workshop, different botanic gardens, find your local botanic gardens and get involved. I'm actually going to be up here in the Lismore Rainforest Botanic Gardens, who we're going to be hearing from tonight. Now, when you do this, please share your images on those on these hashtags. More Than a Garden, Botanic Gardens Day 2024, and Botanic Gardens Day, so that we can build that recognition of this day, and that May has really become and continues to become the month for Botanic Gardens. So they're the hashtags. Feel free to put them out there. I might even, what I'll do is, while I'm at it, I'll just drop them in the comments here, and you can cut and paste and share them. We've got our friends from the Gold Coast, friends of the Gold Coast Botanic Gardens. Thank you for joining us. Great Botanic Gardens. If you're ever up on the Goldie, definitely drop in on the Botanic Gardens up there. Heading to our Botanic Gardens on Sunday for their plant sale in Kings Park. Australia Gardening. I wish I was there for that. I'll be there in a couple of weeks, so I'll definitely join in on that. That's for sure. All right. Without any further ado, I'm very excited to introduce our first speaker. So I'll just get that off the screen. Excuse the overblow of the lights here. The motel here just has one phase on the lights, so I can't create Botanic Gardens mood as much as I'd like to. So a little bit blown out, but I think you can see enough of me. And it's not about me, it's about our speakers tonight. And here we go. Our first speaker is Tracey Whitby. And as I said, from right where I am at the moment, Tracey's president of the Friends of Lismore Rainforest Botanic Gardens here on the north coast of New South Wales in the town of Lismore. She joined the Friends on the day the garden officially opened in 2013, which is a wonderful legacy. We're talking 11 years, just as she retired from being a language teacher for over 30 years. The garden is her gym, where she helps train the garden's guides. She loves the wonder she sees in school children's eyes as they spend a few hours on an excursion. So, Tracey, let me find you here on our stage. Welcome to our webinar, Tracey. Great to see you here.
Thanks, Costa. Great to have you in Lismore.
Oh, I'm looking forward to dropping in on Sunday morning for a little bit of a wander around and a cup of tea, of course.
Yes, definitely.
Wow. So you've been involved for 11 years now. We've got some wonderful slides for you to share with us, but just one quick question before you get underway. What has kept you there for 11 years?
Oh, the people, Costa. The friend, sorry, my voice is a bit wrung out. The people who volunteer. The whole place was formed by volunteers, planted by volunteers. It's still run by volunteers with a committee of volunteers who've been there for a very long time, much longer than me. And they were given the land in the 90s to regenerate. It's right next to the waste facility in Lismore, and it used to be a waste facility, and now it's been regenerated into a rainforest. We only have plants from within 200 kilometres of Lismore, so wow. You can't come and see the African section or anything like that. And that's another thing I love, because I've learnt so much about the plants from our environment here, and most of them would have been here in the big scrub. But it is the people, I think, on Happy Volunteers Week, everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
I just love
National
sharing.
Volunteers Week.
Yeah, sharing. We share everything. We share ideas. We share perspiration. We share veggies, seeds. We share hints. We share everything we do. And I really liked that, and I liked it from day one.
Paula.
Oh, thank you, Paula.
Paula says, my family loves exploring all the various gardens and the hill climb. It's beautiful to think that this is a celebration of your local area. And as Helen says, love that the local native plants and the education that you're sharing and that connection that Paula and Helen are latching onto.
Oh, we're very lucky too. We had a lot of support from the local Widjabul people and of the Bundjalung Nation. They told us a lot of stories about their plant use. We have recorded their stories. You can listen to that in the gardens. And I think it's great to have them there all the time, just to remind us of how much they've looked after our country despite everything we've done to it, and just caring for it.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for your comments. Helen, Paula, there's some wonderful chat coming in, and remember, rack up your questions. Any questions that you have for Tracey, and of course, our speakers to follow in John as well. And now, Tracey, I'll just put your slides up. Here we go. So over to you, Trace.
Yeah, I just thought it would be good for me to show you what I saw on my first day. I went for a walk up the big hill that Paula mentioned. It's actually a hoop pine forest, and it was planted a long time before the gardens were opened by some foresters that were doing a bit of an experiment to get rid of camphor laurel, which is a very big pest around here. And we decided we hadn't done anything in the gardens with that. And one of our presidents at the time, Mari Matthews, decided that she was going to put a walk through the forest, and it's now one of our star features. But while I was walking around on my first day, I had my camera, and these are just some of the pictures I took on the first day, and I was in love straight away.
I love it. In love straight away.
And there are so many, like Paula says, we've got quite a few different gardens. We do have a sensory garden, which is a little bit more unrainforesty, but we do have lots of rainforest sections, rooms they're called, and we've got 6 rainforest rooms. We've got just one garden that's just Wilson Park species garden, meaning the original plants that would have been there in that area before. And we do have the hoop pine forest, of course, a eucalypt forest, and we've also got a useful plants garden and a palm valley garden, a palm gully, which is obviously full of palms. I planted hoop pines at my place. Good on you, Giovanni.
Yeah, exactly. Dan said, I love the preservation of our unique plant life. It makes traveling to the regions even better, which is exactly what we've been doing with the talks, as you know, and we're heading over to New Zealand because BGANZ is Australia and New Zealand, and our wonderful second speaker is Viv Canham, who'll be coming up. But we've got more comments coming in. Do you want to push on with the slides a little?
Yeah, and I just wanted to go back to the theme of this year's Botanic Gardens Day, and that is that it's more than a garden. It's protecting our plants and landscapes, and we love that theme because for us, that's exactly what we're doing. We're not planting things that don't belong here. We're not trying to. We're just trying to make sure that the plants we have in our rainforests continue to thrive in this area. So there's a lot of science going on in our gardens. We're trying to overcome myrtle rust, which is attacking a lot of our syzygiums plants and others. So we've got some experiments going on with that. That's my next slide, actually.
I think can you move it? I think we had success.
Yes,
I think you
can.
might be.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
there
this
you go.
is our curator, Peter Gould, who's planting rhodomyrtus in a special area, and they'll be monitored there for a myrtle rust study that's taking place around Australia. This is out of bounds, of course, to the public, but just to give you an idea of the science and how important that is to us as well. And we do work with Big Scrub Conservancy. We hope to be working more with the Southern Cross University and other native nurseries in the area that provide us with seed and come to our gardens to get seed and cuttings, etc. We've got a lot of threatened species that I think some of them, we're probably the only place that they can be seen. Even the ones in the wild are sort of being protected now. They're not obviously easy to find. And so we do have an uncommon plant section, which is the plants that we're trying to help regenerate again. They all have different sorts of problems. Could be fertility, which we know is a big problem at the moment with some species. Could be climatic. Most of the time it's because of human intervention, of course. But we've got a pretty good success rate in looking after those plants in our gardens. And then I'll show you, we've got an amazing group of volunteers. When they started, they didn't have anywhere to sit even except on the ground. And that's a picture of them probably 30 years ago, I'd say. And the lady in the middle in the red jumper is Pat Offord, and she was a long-term president and the curator for a very long time until probably just about 5 years ago. And we still have Jeff working there. Jeff's in his 90s, and he
Wow,
works
really?
in the nursery. Yeah. Oh, maybe
Oh,
that's actually a photo fairly recently. And he loves, he used to work very hard in the gardens, of course, but now he's been able to take it easy in the nursery. He's amazing. Um,
yeah, that's awesome.
we had a lot of damage in the flood. We're above flood, but if people don't realise, early 22, we had 2 floods, 1 month apart, and the amount of water that ran down the hill into our gardens ruined. For example, that's a picture of our path there on the left. And we had to redo the sensory garden totally. We still haven't repaired some of the paths, but we have been able to do a lot of them. And so it's just showing you that we had to start again in some parts of the garden. Some are still under reconstruction. We had 700 mils in 24 hours
Whoa.
after we were already in a minor flood. So that explained it. These are our elders. That's Thelma James and Mick Roberts. They're the people that come, and there's a picture of them there talking to our volunteers. And a lot of what they teach us is the keep it messy, mate message, which is to keep our gardens aren't manicured. It's not like Brisbane or even Mount Anna or Sydney Botanic Gardens. They're just a rainforest. And so we keep all our ground covers native. It's messy. It's a messy rainforest garden. And we use all the information from our First Nations people to keep it that way. And therefore our biodiversity is better. And my second last slide, education, of course. Before COVID, we were having about 2,000 students a year visit. It's taking them a while to come back since the flood as well, because some schools haven't been opened again yet. So we have, actually a lot of them are preschoolers, and we work with the waste facility next door still. And we work on just the general message of looking after the environment together. So we've got, there's some kids using the digital microscope. We've got a cool cubby, which has a solar panel on it, a tank, and is completely green. And then you'll also see some photos of the kids doing testing of our pond on an art school day, and of course planting and taking plants home to grow at home as well. And then this was Costa, who came to visit about 2015, 16. And he came wandering through to give us some ideas. And that's what volunteers love. They love feedback. So everything you're saying about it is great. And thanks for all our visitors. And I'd just like to remind people that it's their Botanic Gardens. It's not ours. It belongs to Lismore. So everyone from Lismore owns that garden, and they should be out there looking at it as often as they can and coming to help.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's this open book where, as you've said, it's an intergenerational thing as well. You've got schools there, you've got children, you've got 94-year-olds working the seed bank and planting plants. And the comments here are rich. We won't be able to get to all of the questions because we've got our 2 other speakers, and I'd love to have a little bit of a question fest with all 3 of you. But as Lisa said, seed banks are so important for future generations of animals, plants, pollinators, and us humans. Helen asked, do you have this? I thought this was an important question. She just asked, do you have the uncommon plants highlighted with signage?
Yeah, they do have signage. They have little signs with their common name, scientific name. Some we don't, for obvious reasons. We don't like to call them rare and threatened. We just call them uncommon. But we have to be careful about that part of our garden. It's like a really special part of a library, where you've got to wear your white gloves to look at some books. And I think we do take care that some of our plants are not necessarily accessible to everyone. But if you come on a guided walk, for example, or organise your own guided walk, we can organise for that to take place. But yes, they are all signed. Yep.
Okay. Well, look, what I might do, we've got some more questions, so we'll have all those in the chat, and we'll come back to a few of those so that we can head across the ditch and hear from our next speaker. So just while we're there, I'll just take this one off. And wow, there's still so many more questions coming in. David said he's coming down to visit. Love the analogy to rare books. That's a great comment. I do too. It's been fantastic. And yeah, you might want to jump on and have a look at some of the other questions here if we don't get them all to them all, Trace. But thank you for sharing such a beautiful story about the Lismore Rainforest Botanic Gardens. And give it about half an hour or so, and I'll bring you back, and we can have a bit of a yarn all together with the three of you.
Yep, and don't forget, Costa will be at our gardens on Sunday from 9 till 10 o'clock. So be there.
I'll probably be there earlier. Yeah, I will be there earlier. All right. Well, thanks, Tracey. I'll see you in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that was a fantastic explanation of the wonderful volunteer gardens. And gee, your comments, everyone, are just brilliant. Absolutely. So many good thoughts and provocative ideas being shared around what Tracey and the team are doing up there. And comments coming in. Lots of thanks. A museum of plants. But now it's time for me to get in the Costivator, in the TARDIS, and head off. I'm going to fly all the way from Lismore, and I've just landed across the ditch in Auckland, of all places, where our second speaker tonight is the president of the Friends of the Auckland Botanic Gardens. So you can't say that we're not taking you on an awesome tour each week with plenty of Costivator transitions, thanks to the team at BGANZ, who we will mention and thank at the end. Now, our speaker is, as I said, the president, Viv Canham, and Viv's love of gardens probably started while she was a poor backpacker in the UK in the 1970s, staying near Kew Gardens. Oh, yeah, that's like staying right near the epicenter. A coin gained you entrance in those days, and she spent many hours discovering its treasures. She now lives on 2 acres full of trees and hens. Viv had a career in property management and finds her skills very handy when it comes to administration of the Friends group and the fundraising involved. So let's bring Viv in. Now, where is she? Here we go. Hello, Viv.
Yeah, hello, Costa. I'll speak loudly so you can hear me from over there, eh?
Exactly. I'll use the tin can phone, and we'll bring you across. So lovely you could join us, and so lovely that we've had the width and breadth of BGANZ, as its full name, in in our conversations over the month. Tell us a little bit about, much like what I asked Tracey, how did you sort of get involved with the friends? I like that background of how Q got inside and under your skin and made you a plant lover. But how did you kind of find the friends and go down this road?
Yeah, well, strangely enough, we have a little tractor and trailer set up at the Botanic Gardens for giving people who are less mobile able to get around the gardens. And I was asked to be a guide on that, did that for a few years. And of course, doing that every weekend, you got to see quite a bit of the gardens and meet a lot of wonderful people, a lot of overseas folk particularly. And then I was asked to go on the committee and just probably taking my rotation in the seat for a year or two.
Fantastic. And just before we get into your slides so people can see just what the gardens are about and what you're all up to, what is it that keeps you there? What do you get out of it, and why? For all the people watching this, and hello to all the replay viewers as well. What is it that just draws you to be involved?
Okay, well, I think that everyone has the desire to have done something worthwhile for the world in their lifetime, and I've got the time and still got the energy, and I think I can do my little bit to help enhance something in our community, which I think is so very valuable.
Helen just asked, how do you maintain momentum in friends groups and attract different demographics? Is that something? I mean, this is something that Tracey, we can probably return to this question, actually, Helen. I think it would be a good one. But while we're here, Viv, what's something that you're doing to blow this out?
Well, I actually will speak to that in my slides, actually. So.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Hmm.
Angie's jumping on the legacy is very important, great or small, and I couldn't agree more there. So what do you reckon? Will we bring up your slides?
Please, that'd be great.
Here we go.
Oh, right, the wrong end. So if we go back to the start, that would be great. There we go. That's me. We'll speak to that for a moment. Okay. I'd like to tell you about Auckland, New Zealand Botanic Gardens and what the friends do to promote and support it. And for a bit of background, our gardens is just over 40 years old. It's 64 hectares. It was formerly farmland, has about 30 staff and 120 volunteers to support them. And our friends group was formed just a year after the gardens opened. We have about 250 members. So unlike Tracey's Lismore Rainforest, our volunteers are actually run by the gardens staff. And the volunteers can be friends. Most of them are friends of the gardens, but that's not compulsory. So fundraising is how we need to fundraise in order to support the gardens. So yes, if we can, please go on to the next slide, Rebecca. So this is some of the things that we do to enhance the visitors' experience when they come to the garden. So like a lot of the Botanic Gardens on the top left there, we have plant sales, and that's a big source of our income. So that's we get about $23,000 a year from plant sales. Top right, that's the library, which the friends helped fund to build. It is a reference library for the staff and for the public. It is integrated with the Auckland Public Library system, but it is not actually a lending library. On the bottom left there, that is Neil Palmer. When he was a resident artist, every 2 years we have a resident artist working in our visitors centre for about 2 months. And there Neil is showing all the work that he produced in the time that he was with us. And when the residence artists work, they work obviously in front of the public, and they also have workshops, various workshops, some for children, some for people with a lot of knowledge. So they're always very popular. And on the bottom right is a little tractor and trailer setup that I was telling you about, very popular with the children as well. And Rebecca, if we can go on. Thank you. So besides manning those activities that I've just talked about, the volunteers also assist the staff with the collection maintenance, with propagation, asset maintenance, and with events. On slide 4, Rebecca, we're marching, aren't we? Okay. Now the left-hand plant is very interesting. That is the Bartlett's rata, and it's unusual in that it's a white flowering rata. Most ratas are red flowering, and this particular tree was almost extinct. There were only 18 trees left in the country. So together with the Department of Conservation and the local iwi, the local tribe Ngāti Kuri, the Botanic Gardens went and got some cuttings and brought them back, and they've successfully propagated that plant. And they also have trained a member of the Ngāti Kuri in propagation, so that that will help preserve this wonderful tree. So besides conservation, we also help fund research. And on the right-hand side there, that's an ongoing trial. That's been going since about 2016, and we're trying to breed a camellia that is resistant to petal blight. All right, Rebecca, on we go. Now, this is once again a long ongoing trial, started in 2015. And the purpose of this trial is to try and breed a plant mixture that is low growing, has biodiversity, is aesthetically pleasing. And the point is to try and replace lawns. It's going to take a lot of convincing people that the short back and sides look is not ideal. And this is a good alternate and one that doesn't need mowing so often. And the thought is too that it could possibly be used on roadsides as well, which would save the number of mowing events that we have to have. And we all know that mown grass is also not the best for the environment as well. And the Friends support staff development. Every year we send somebody overseas on a scholarship. It's $12,000 scholarship. The last year's recipient was Chef Jones, and he went off to Chanticleer in Pennsylvania, where he worked, and to the gardens in that area. But we fund the staff to go to study, workshops, conferences. One group's been to the Tree Crops Conference recently, and the New Zealand Gardens Trust. And the knowledge that the people bring back, and when they put it into practice in our garden, it's just invaluable. And for slide 7, so social events are the glue. You were asking about, why do people become friends? Well, I think social events are the glue that holds the friends groups together and attracts new members. So we have a lot of different events that we put on. We have a monthly Friends Day out, and that could be a visit to a garden or a nursery, or a talk in our Friends building at the gardens. We email out a monthly news sheet of happenings and coming events. We publish a quarterly newsletter. This is an excellent newsletter in combination with the gardens staff, and it publishes research and in-depth articles. We have bus trips. We have a soup day where the committee cooks up a storm and invites the members of the Friends to come along. We have a painting group, very popular. And so there is something for everyone to do. Members of the Friends get a 10% discount in our in-house cafe, and they get a 10% discount at the Growing Friends Gardens sales as well. And so in the illustrations we have here on the left is Terry and Pam Hatch's Joy Nurseries. That's actually their son Lindsay, who is now managing the property, and the gorgeous clivias that he was showing us at his property that day. On the right is Zealandia Nurseries, one of the largest commercial nursery in New Zealand, and we were impressed when we were there with their innovation, their recycling, and their sustainability. And we're so interested, all the irrigation water, for example, there's holes in that concrete floor there, and the water is all collected, tested, balanced and used again. They heat their own, or the heating system is a wood burning boiler, and on it goes, and they have a sustainable forest which they get their timber from. And finally, the very important event that we have, it's been going now since 2006, and this is a Sculpture in the Gardens event. So we partner with the gardens to put this on. It's quite an undertaking, but very worthwhile. So it attracts a different sector of the public than what might otherwise come to the gardens.
Yeah, yep.
So when the event is on, which is over 3 months, we have about 330,000 people visit during those 3 months. That's been the average in the time. It's a free event. The friends get 30% commission on any sales, and generally the friends purchase a piece if they think it's going to fit. And we have now built up a sculpture trail of about 25 pieces, which in its own right has become an attraction and a reason for people to come, or another reason for people to come to the gardens, and it enhances the gardens as well. So that's my lot, you know. Yep. And yeah, we're a happy lot here, and yeah.
Wow. Viv, the comments have been coming thick and fast. People are totally taken by the breadth of really the answer to that question that I proposed. Like, what are you doing? And there's so many things that you're doing. I mean, the art prize, the scholarship, like what an incredible way of building that outreach by the friends connecting people with pathways and career opportunities.
Yeah, we are very lucky too, Costa, in that we have received a number of bequests, and that money is invested, and the interest from that money is a very big part of our income. So it's what we use, you know, for supporting the staff, really.
Rosalind, if you hear any rumblings in your garage or climbing over the fence, it could be Rosalind Baker with you know, a blindfold and some cable ties, because it appears she wants to move you to Australia. But I think the best part about it is that we can move some of your wonderful ideas. They're pretty cheap and easy to move.
Thanks,
and
Costa, and thanks, Rosalind. I'm very flattered.
And I think that's what it's about, incubating these ideas and sharing them across BGANZ and across the Botanic Gardens network.
Exactly,
and something like the sculptures is one thing, but the scholarships is another. And one thing right back at the beginning that you mentioned, and a lot of people were really taken by that, those trials on the meadows. This is really absolute front of wave when it comes to what I'm seeing out there in terms of projects that are really shifting the face of horticulture, with that idea of the meadows and swords and native grasses being used to change our way of thinking. You would have seen there was a question here earlier from Helen about the Friends of MRBBG Secretary. Meadow trials, absolutely the way to go, full marks. But Helen says, how has this been received, the meadow trials? Because she herself is involved in some wonderful meadow trials in the monumental cemetery landscape, which, you know, is like as a landscape, it's atrocious from the point of view of how they've been maintained for so long. And this project that she's working on sits really closely with what you're doing in these trials.
Well, isn't that interesting? Because some of the garden staff went to the local cemetery, the Waikamete Cemetery, which has a wonderful wildflower meadow, apparently, and then they got a lot of ideas and plants from that, I believe.
Oh, that's fantastic. Definitely sort of something for both of you to keep in touch with
Yes.
on the respective projects that you're working on.
But I do think, Costa, that, well, I'm hoping that this webinar is going to help the Friends forge a stronger link, because I think that we can only benefit from ideas between each of the different Friends groups.
There was one question here from John. How do you liaise with the garden staff and management? Do you have a regular catch up with the team? What and how is that relationship incubated?
Okay, well, our manager, Jack Hobbs, comes along to our committee meetings every month, and he presents us with a manager's report, and it goes right through everything, right from the staff or the activities in the gardens. And I must say that I take all the info from that, and that's what I put in my monthly news sheet out to all the people. But they do appreciate it, because especially the volunteers love to know what's going on, and where the new palm trees came from, and the story behind them, for example. So it's been well received. It's good.
All right. Well, there's plenty more questions coming in, but I think it's time for us to head over to our third speaker, so that we can then get the three of you together. So, Viv, thank you for a fantastic chat. And I'll bring you back in about 15 minutes or however long John needs. So I'll just drop you back into the green room. Thank you, Viv. It's been fantastic, and the chat is going off. All right, so back into the Costa Vader. I'm leaving Auckland now, just doing a big circuit, coming over Sydney, straight down past Malakuta, and I've come into Melbourne, and I've just headed out along the freeway, and I've landed in Melton, which is a beautiful thing, because that's where our third speaker is. We've gone from northern New South Wales and the Northern Rivers over to Auckland with Viv, and now to John Bentley, who's been the president of the Friends of Melton Botanic Gardens since, wait for it, 2005. My basic maths says that's almost 2 decades. He's managing the Friends in developing, enhancing, and maintaining the 27-hectare Melton Botanic Garden. As again, it's a community-driven venture right from the start on the western edge of Melbourne's metropolitan area. John passionately manages a great team, oversees projects, and helps make connections with many community groups and organisations to help build and support the garden. So I've landed, the dust has settled, and if I open my eyes, there's John Bentley.
Thanks, Costa, for that wonderful introduction and flying over here.
Yeah, sorry, I crash
crazy.
landed in one of your nice emerging eucalypts that Jane Edmondson and I saw you planting when we were there one time. But John, 20 years, 2 decades, you've been part of the Melton Botanic Gardens. I know that they are a pure volunteer organisation. What's going on?
I don't know. Well, we just seem to be barreling along and going with the flow. Yeah, I've actually been there longer. I saw a little ad in the local newspaper saying there was a meeting of the Friends of the Melton Botanic Garden in February 2004, and it was that evening, and I thought, oh, that's a great idea. I just tootled along, listened to what they said, have you build a web, because they just started 6 months beforehand with this initiative for the community to foster a botanic garden in Melton, not to develop, build one or anything else. We've changed our vision a few times over the years. And I just said, have you done some promotion? Have you built a website or anything? So I went back to next month's meeting and had a website for them and did a few other things. And somehow they, by August, made me vice president. And then the next year they said, you might as well be president. But I don't know. It's been hard in some ways, but it's been absolutely fantastic with a great team of people. I mean, I was flying overseas about once a month. And I was doing this, I'd be in China and running a committee meeting way back then, long before COVID and everything else. And sometimes we didn't have video or anything like that. But we just had a great team of people and passion from the community that have just carried this thing along.
What sort of numbers
of course, I should probably say, having a fantastic supportive wife has made all that happen too.
What sort of numbers are you talking in your friends group?
Okay, we've got, we do an official figure on the 30th of June each year, and we report that to council because we are on council land. And last year we reached 470 members, and this year we're up about 440. So, yeah. So, and then we have about 100 plus active volunteers. So some people may only come once a month or something to our Grow the Garden days on a Sunday because they're working. And then there's lots of people during the week that are putting up to 15 hours a week in the garden. So, yeah.
Wow. We've got a good question here from one of the friends of the gardens. I might hold off on that one so that we can hear from you, and then I'm going to throw this question about burnout to the three of you, because I think that's something that the three of you work around. But take us away on your magical mystery slideshow, John. I'll bring it up for you, and away you go.
All right, I'll try and be really quick. These are a few. We do a lot of those things that the other Botanic Gardens do, and lots of gardens do all of these things. But we really are the garden. It's council land. Council really support us, but it's driven by the friends. So right in the top corner on the left, we're doing a green wall, and that has a big circle in there now with bay trees that have been cut and made a big hole in the middle. So lots of people take debutante photos. I saw last week baby photos in there, wedding photos. So all that sort of happens. The next photo along is a little in our depot. We're just running a training session on Iris BG. That's our Botanic Gardens database. So they're learning how to input records, look up data and things like that. So our plants are documented well, and that information is available on the Garden Explorer, just a website, or on your phone, you can see that. We run guided tours, so the one in front of the Mexican marigolds there's a little bunch of people. We get a few people that just like to lay around and look good. Now that's Steve and Ella. They coordinate the Southern African garden, and the group they have is the safaris. Then under that, we're planting the first cacti. We went down to Hoppers Crossing, dug up some dirty big cacti from a garden that a person in the Cactus and Succulent Society of Australia. We have a little boat to go across to the island. That's the people that turned up to a Grow the Garden Day, all those people with their hands up in the middle. And we get a whole range of people from 6 months to about 85 or something. And then we've got a Victorian Volcanic Plains garden. There's a little chicken wire fence around that, so that keeps the rabbits out. And we do all sorts of things like lots of mulching, weeding, planting, and all that type of thing. But I just want to take you through something. It's a big garden. There's lots of projects going on. But one of the projects that the Lakers group do, and they work all the way around the outside of the lake and in the middle of the lake on this island. And that's planted out with local species. And that's what we've been promoting as one part of the garden. But we're about 70% native and indigenous plants, but we do have other things like Californian, which is that garden area being developed on the right-hand side. And we've got a Mediterranean region garden and a Southern African region garden. But this is 2023. You can see the island in the middle now has lots of plants across it. This is what it looked like back in 2015. It was full of serrated tussock, broom, boxthorn, marshmallows that were taller than my head in some spots, and mustard weed, and a few other things. So Jill, who heads up the Lakers group, said, I'd like to do this out as a bird sanctuary island, and got a grant from Melbourne Water, and we had a contract to go out there and do all the weeding, and we managed to get a boat given to us.
Really?
Yeah, well, it was through a Rotary donation, so you saw that yellow boat before. But way back in, and it's an artificial island and lake built back in the late 70s. So we had all these geese on there, built up to 36 geese. So we worked with council and they relocated them to a farm or a sanctuary somewhere. But they were attacking everybody and wrecking everything and just stopping the native birds getting on there. So this is it now. I think I took this last month. You can see the island out there, and the bird life across the lake is really good. So we have lots of groups coming just to do bird watching. We've made this area of the garden a nature and conservation reserve. We work with a lot of different groups, and we developed a plan with the Melton Environment Group, because they had some really good people on knowing birds and the sorts of habitat. So we devised a plan, got it approved by council, and applied for a grant to cover the plants we needed. So that covers a whole range of planting specifically for a whole range of birds. There's that little boat. So the Rotary Clubs of Melton gave us a $5,000 donation, and out of that we did a number of things, but we were able to buy this boat. It took us a year to get council to approve our OHS for that, and the only thing they added to it was someone has to have a first aid certificate who's on the boat or with the boat. This is what it's like. That's one of the first days of planting on the island. This is how it looks shortly after, within the next year. So you can see all the little things in guards. We've got a few things on there. There was the contractor found New Holland daisy. It's not necessarily a rare plant, but it was sort of, it appeared out there all by itself and gone. What we've got here is a Grevillea rose marinifolia, a Lara form, and it's a dwarf form. It grows about 2 centimeters a year if you're lucky. Spectacular when it flowers, so it won't get up to 1 meter high. But the last ones of these in the wild were on a railway siding or reserve in Lara, and a contractor unfortunately wiped them out by mistake. But this plant comes from a descendant of those original ones. It's probably a grandchild or something. And then on the right is a Banksia marginata, and they're sort of all over the place. But this one is the Keeler Plains form, and they've been wiped out across the Keeler Plains over the years with farming, disjointness. And so this one comes from a remnant in Amesbury. It was a 90-year-old tree that's now died and disappeared. So there's some of the things there, and the stuff out there is really good because people aren't going over there trampling on them, stealing them or anything like that, which sort of things that unfortunately happen in Botanic Gardens too. So this was it in 2020. We started planting in 2017. There's a few duck boxes and other things over there, so we get birds breeding. 2021, the poas and a lot of the other things are growing that we've done. And that was it. That's all. That's the last one I had. And then there's a whole lot of things we do. We do all those social things. Again, you can see a range of people here. We built paths that day. We run a nursery that brings in about $25,000 a year. Do concreting, fundraising. Jane Edmondson's there down the bottom. She's our patron, and she came to our Bunnings barbecue. Fortunately, we couldn't get her to sell any sausages, but she did buy one. Yeah, and that's sort of a quick summary. But the results at the end is that we now have, since our first plantings in 2008, have a botanic garden that's close to 90% established gardens or projects that we're working on that have plantings in them.
Wow.
All right.
Okay. I'm just taking a breath. Stephen McKnight says he might have to head down there for Botanic Gardens Day on Sunday.
Oh, come down. I'll just answer that one if I can. We're having a Grow the Garden Day from 10 till 12, which is part of our Botanic Gardens Day activity. We had a $300 donation to buy plants for small bird habitat. And we've encouraged, with all the plantings and things, encouraged the blue fairy wrens back to that area. So we're going to further enhance that on Sunday.
Oh, I know that my good friend up on the Sunshine Coast, Spencer Hitchens from Save the Sunrise Goss, he was already commenting on here. He would be very pleased to hear about what you're doing to increase bird habitat.
Mm. Oh, well, what's happened over that, since we planted those eucalypts that you saw, and that was our first major project, the Dryland Eucalyptus Arboretum, that has over 100 species of trees from natural habitat of about 450 millimetres or less. Firstly, we got all the parrots coming back, so we've got about 4 species of lorikeets in there, and then slowly over time, where the Lakers, especially in the Creekers group, have been planting for bird habitat, so really prickly stuff and things like that the little birds can hide in. Yeah. So we have been very conscious about creating the habitat for the fauna through the flora that we've been doing.
Well, wow, that has come so. I remember when I saw it, probably about 7 years ago, whenever that was, and you were starting and embarking on some newer gardens further away from your working shed and so on, and the other gardens were coming out, and now to see some of those pictures, it's like, wow, what a group, and what an incredible outcome that you've achieved in this time.
Yeah, it was actually 2014 when you came, Costa.
14. 10 years.
You wouldn't believe the place now. The Southern African gardens behind me, and that's absolutely spectacular right throughout the year. We've got, any time of the year you can come and see eucalypts in flower, plants in flower. Certain garden beds have a good flowering time, but we're encouraging people that. And we have a motto. One of the things that's helped guide us is a motto called growing plants, growing people. So it's very much about the people as well as just the plants and the collections that we've got.
Spencer has passed a comment about the glossy reds. You probably get yellow tails and possibly red tails there.
Well, we've had the gangan. Oh, we got a pair of kookaburras breeding next to the depot I haven't told the people in the building next door, the industrial building, that they've got kookaburras breeding up the top. So they've been really good. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, look, what do you reckon, John? I'll get Viv and Tracey on, and maybe we can just ask a couple of questions to each of you, and then we're going to get Rebecca on, who's going to give a little bit of a wrap up of our BGANZ webinars, and a little bit of a G up about the weekend ahead. So everyone, it was going to be that question I was going to ask. How have the three of you, and how do you manage that reality with volunteering, given that, all of the people you're working with are volunteers? How do you manage the question of burnout and, keeping people's energy levels, ebbing safely? Who would like to start? Tracy?
Yeah, I don't mind that. It's a big one for us because we actually only have about 40 to 50 friends on our books, and we only really, I think yesterday we only had about a dozen volunteers. We only get together for 3 hours on Wednesday morning, and there are a lot of other guides that don't work on Wednesdays because they work outside in society, so they can only come weekends. So we have a lot on some people's load. Yes, we've got, because we're doing everything ourselves, we've got a lot of people that love to do woodwork, build bridges, make paths, and so we have to make sure that they don't burn out, because a lot of them are already retired people and not as physically strong as they used to be. But we try and make it, I suppose, that we balance the work and make sure that each week, perhaps, unless they choose to, we've got some weed warriors that just love weeding, and they're a really tight little group and they really work hard following our maintenance plan. But otherwise, yeah, try to just put as much variety into the work as we can. We don't do that much planting anymore. We do a little bit in autumn, but we've pretty well planted out most of the areas we can look after. So it's tricky, because a lot of the work we're doing now is maintenance and it can be boring. But on the other hand, we've got people that can do drone shots of our forest. We've got bird people that can count our 100 species of birds, things like that. It's just finding your right niche, and then you don't tend to get burnt out.
Viv, what do you have to say about that? Because that's tying in with what Tracey was saying there. That's tying in with some of the initiatives that you've instigated. Can you sort of comment on what Tracey was saying and the question?
Yeah, sure. Well, we just emphasise the fact they are volunteers, so their life comes first, and the time that they can give to the gardens is just so valuable, but they are not to sacrifice their personal life for the gardens. Interestingly enough, we're seeing a different age group of volunteers coming through at the moment. There's a lot more younger people. Often people on a world trip, this is what they do now. They come and spend a couple of months volunteering at different places, or otherwise people just coming for a short time, younger age people, but might have various reasons. They might have time on their hands, so they're turning up at the gardens now, which is really nice. And everybody at the gardens has a choice of where they work. If they're on lonely jobs like in the library or running the Wirri Rambler little tractor, they get to have get-togethers every now and again, like a morning tea or a lunch or something. So get to know their fellow workers. Yeah, that's the way we do it.
And John?
Yeah, well, probably very much like what Viv said. I concur with all of those that we do. We try and let people find what they would like to do. We give people roles if they'd like them, like you might be the team supervisor of the Gumnuts group, or you might be the curator of the sensory garden or the bush foods garden. So we let people try and follow their passion and interests, and we do all those little activities to try and get people together. So 2 of our volunteers last week said, could we run a volunteer barbecue lunch next week? So we said, oh, yeah, okay. So the committee said, yeah, okay, go for it. And the volunteers who wanted to come in or were on site, we just all had a nice little sausage sizzle together. So lots of little things like that. The groups, because we've run 26 hectares and we've got like the Gumnuts group managing the Gumnuts, they tend to spend a lot of time together, that team, morning teas together, nice little, they work away. We try not to put the pressure on anybody that you have to turn up, you have to come. Whatever people can contribute is really valued. And also saying thanks to people, just really simply, and we're genuine about it because we are very thankful for what everybody does. So we try to do that. Personally, I don't know, I just always been into stuff. So yeah, I retired 10 years ago from a university position. So I was flying up to Sydney, flying overseas and all that sort of stuff. Well, a few people have commented and said, you just swapped one full-time job for another, but this one's not paid. So yeah, but what we do is really good, and we've had volunteers that they just find it's either not for them or they don't want to do that. So they're free to. We don't put any pressure on people, but we do good things like we try and buddy people up, learning on the job. Lots of people come without any skills whatsoever, and they worry that they won't be able to do things. But buddying up, showing people who want to, we'll support them in training for OHS. If you're doing weed spraying, mixing chemicals, you have to get an ag chem cert. Quite a number of our volunteers did the white card as well to get some OHS experience. So council does, ensure that we've got a really good OHS system. We've got processes and procedures in place, and we'll find a place for anybody. And we try to, the nursery is really good at welcoming people, and all the groups are too. So, the first impressions are really important. And we just get people sort of walking up all the time. We have a nice little Centrelink volunteer program, so we can give people 15 hours per week in the garden. We've got enough groups for them to work with on that too. So that's been beneficial. Yeah.
Wow.
I think we've just got to keep going. I don't know. But Jill and I take breaks and do that sort of thing. So, yeah.
Treasuring Our Trees just ask, have you had any connections like this? They've said, is anyone connecting young students at horticulture training centres to these knowledgeable and experienced gardeners? It could be a new way to inspire new energy into these community programs. Any thoughts on that?
We've trained a few of them as guides. That's where they're most useful, really. They don't have often time during the week. So when we do our guided walks on the weekend, we train them up, and then they know so much already because they're learning at the same time. That's probably what we mostly use the younger people for.
Yep. Viv?
Yes, this is something, funnily enough, has come up in our committee meeting just the last couple of times. We've actually the council's just purchased an extra piece of land, and that's going to be used for Maori gardens, the proper working Maori garden. And the hope is that children will be brought from high schools, if nothing else, to work in those gardens, give them hands-on experience, and hopefully we can even look at scholarships to help some of these children continue in horticultural education.
Yep.
So we've done, one of the things we've been doing right from the beginning was lots of networking, making connections, and that includes community groups, schools, and TAFE groups have approached us. So we've done, just for an example, for the last couple of years, the Lakers group have been working with Karanjong Secondary College, and they have a hands-on learning program. And these are some kids that struggle in regular classes, so they have to do certain regular classes, but they come to the gardens that they just seem to love mulching, which is fantastic. Today they were out planting and things, so they're creating an area for Latham snipe habitat. And it was really good because they won an award last year, a national award, for the hands-on learning program and what they're giving to the community. So we've had TAFE students, we've managed to give them 80 hours work experience to do that. There's a forestry group that would like to come to the garden and prune some of the trees and things. We call on council, we're not allowed to use chainsaws. So some of the things we need chainsaws. So the council tree crew, for a big city like Melton, it's only got 2 crews, so they can't do everything. So we're working with this forestry group and council to get them in, to give them, these TAFE students, work experience that way. So yeah, and we've had other school groups. Bacchus Marsh Grammar came for about 7 years up till COVID, and lots of other groups. Yeah.
Well, Look, just to the everybody listening in, thank you for your questions. And I realise that in Viv's land, it's now 10:17, not 8:17. But the questions are so good, and it's such a beautiful opportunity to have the three of you here answering these questions. And we want to hear from Rebecca. But there was an interesting thing. I saw how, Tracey, you said we often revisit our vision statement to make sure we stay on track. When a volunteer begins, they can see which parts of the work they like to do and try different jobs. They fall in love with different sections, or they bring their woodworking or bridge building or photography or weed worrying skills and so on and so forth. But Helen said an interesting thing, which I thought I'll just throw into the mix. How do you deal with members of groups who might have a specific agenda that doesn't quite align with your broader visions for the sites that you care for? Thank you, Helen. That's, we want to be warm and fuzzy, but we know that in group situations, you have to manage these things. So I noticed you all.
It happens. You're right. You're dealing with a whole range of people, and sometimes you do have to put the hard word and have a chat to them and say, you really can't be doing this, because it is about where we're headed, and trying to. I mean, for most people, we try and fit that agenda in if we can, and make it positive. Yeah.
Viv?
Well, I was just wondering whether Costa or I could share something that from Jack Hobbs, actually. It's probably not quite so much to do with volunteers, but we were chatting over what makes a good friends group, and I really liked what he said. Can I say it? Can I tell you?
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, Jack, for anyone that doesn't know, Jack is also he's the New Zealand ambassador for BGANZ. So yeah, take it away, Viv.
Presently swanning around Italy, taking people around gardens there. Yeah. So what makes a good friends group? I just jotted this down as we were talking. So they're clear on purpose, have mutual respect with the garden's management. There is good communication between the parties. Friends don't try to run the gardens. They're friends, not fiends. Fiends, I like that. Friends, not fiends. Provide support, have alignments. Most friends join for social reasons. So friends groups can provide more of this, and friends can provide political associations and influence. So some more thoughts.
Yeah, wow, that's a good range of
that's good summing up, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the reality. I mean, it's like the reality of life in your communities, in your workplaces. You've got a mix, and us plants people, we're all passionate, and everyone brings that passion, and managing it is part of each of your roles in that figurehead role that you play as well in managing people and personality.
As Viv said at the beginning, though, we have to remember that we're volunteers too, and so we have to make sure that we don't feel worried about it too much. I mean, we can't let it affect our lives if things aren't going as beautifully as we'd hoped. So we have to really try to manage it by communication, like Viv said, but also just to find, it's so easy nowadays to find other things that people can do. They may not want, most volunteers don't want to do what they did every day in their career. So you might have the most amazing accountant come and join your friends group, and you go, yay, a treasurer. And they just, no way do they want to touch a number. And so it's really difficult, but because they come with so many wonderful skills. But we have to understand that they're coming for a rest, and they're coming to do something they've never done before sometimes. So if you keep that in mind about how you joined up, it helps to understand when people have these different desires, but keeping with the message, like as I said at the beginning, your theme for this year, which is about, it's actually the key is the challenge between just making a nice garden or preserving a landscape that's been here for thousands of years. So we have to remind people that we're not just making a pretty garden.
Mm. Yeah. One of the things I like to do is also try to challenge people and give them new tasks and new skills. And I'm learning things all the time. We don't stop learning. We've had one of our person who just a volunteer, but they stepped up. Her husband's now the team supervisor of gumnuts, but she's now using Web Explorer to audit the plants in the garden, check what's there, and the new plantings. She's making all the flag labels and things, so she's learnt botanic names and various other things associated with that. She's still learning, but our process is that before they're printed, they're checked, so we pick up anything like that. But you can see people really starting to blossom and learn new skills. And then working in the garden and the nursery, we just get fabulous comments from the public. So you see what's happening around. So people just love it. It's great for their mental health, great for their physical well-being and their social contacts. And we all experience that. So, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. No, I just had someone say that they'd lost sound, and I wasn't sure if they'd lost me or themselves. Wow, look, Viv, I'm conscious of our time, and I'd like to bring Rebecca in. Viv, if you're comfortable and want to say goodbye, I'm happy to let you go, and we can do the wrap up and look towards Botanic Gardens Day with Rebecca and set you free into your evening.
Oh, that's fine. Thank you. I'm happy here. I've got Pippa here from the Gardens as well, and she's starting at 7 tomorrow morning, but she's hanging on in here too, so that's good.
Oh, so you're happy for a little bit longer?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Well, everyone, unfortunately, Cass, our wonderful fearless leader of BGANZ, had to look after her little one tonight because there was a little bit of, this is family life and juggles when people's works change. So in her place, Rebecca, who you've probably seen, she's a wonderful part of the BGANZ team, and I'll mention the whole team in a little bit. But Rebecca, take it away. Tell us what Cass wanted to yarn to us about on this final of our webinars for the month.
Well, basically, Costa, she wanted to say thank you, a huge thank you to all the speakers that we've had this month in all the 4 webinars, including tonight, John and Tracey and Viv. You've all been fantastic and so inspiring, I think. Even me, and I'm a diehard plant lover, I got goosebumps while you were talking. And if I can get goosebumps, then anybody can. So thank you all so much. And it was also to thank the team behind the scenes that you don't see. So it's National Volunteer Week, and it's a fantastic time to thank all those volunteers. So maybe the first slide, Costa.
Oh, okay.
That's it. That's fantastic.
Oh,
so, thanking you, Costa, because Costa does all this for free. He doesn't get paid. He just does it because he loves it, and he's our ambassador, and he is just a wonderful person, and I just wish we could clone him. Keep it on the first one. Thank you, Costa.
Yeah.
So the production team, we've got Ellie Cheney. She's from the Australian National Botanic Gardens in Canberra, and she volunteers her time. Pippa Lucas works at Auckland Botanic Gardens and has been helping Viv. and the rest of us. James Roche, he's a student at the ANU in Canberra who's been working at ANBG and has done some social things for us. Me, of course. But I'm paid by BGANZ, but I do it anyway. I just love it. John Arnott, long time BGANZ. I think he was one of the people who started BGANZ, hundreds of years ago. And he is just the backbone of all these webinars. He has wonderful ideas, and we never, ever want him to leave. Another person we have to clone. And then also another volunteer we have so we did a call out to all our members. Could people volunteer to help me? Because there are only 2 staff members at BGANZ, myself and Cass, the CEO. We both work part-time. And the lovely Diane Winkworth from Melton Botanic Gardens, she put up her hand, and she's fantastic with social media, and she's been priceless helping us do all our social media posts. Just fantastic. Thank you so much, Diane. Cass, the CEO, who's put in lots of hours on this with her little one, especially. And just a final thank you to Finbar Marshall, who is Pippa's other half, who came to the party at the last minute to help her with some technical issues. So thank you, Finn, if you're listening. Otherwise, Pippa, you can say thank you to him. And so the next slide, Costa, is just to thank the friends groups again for do I do the slides? Oh, you do the slides. Great.
Oh, yeah. I got it.
Thanking the friends groups. And do you want to put up the websites for the friends groups, Costa, in case people want to join these groups? Thank you. And we also have, there's also a group called the Australian Association of Friends of Botanic Gardens, who's like the umbrella organisation of all the friends groups. So if you are not in Lismore, Auckland or Melton, but you want to join a friends group, go to the AAFBG website, which Costa will eventually put up because it's right at the back of the comments, or I can put it in a minute. I'll put it in the comments. Facebook's not letting me comment anymore because I've commented so much. They think I'm spam. So go to AAFBG and then you can find your local friends group, and I'm sure they will welcome you with open arms. And as you can see, you can volunteer to do anything. They'll find a role for you. And the other people I wanted to thank is the audience, all the people who've joined in over the last month. I mean, thank you, Costa's, groupies. You've been great, and everybody else who's joined. I hope we've got a few more followers. Join, go to our website, go to our socials, follow us. We'll be doing this again next year. It's our 10th anniversary next year of Botanic Gardens Day. So hopefully it'll be bigger and better than ever. And then I wanted to remind you all that Sunday is Botanic Gardens Day. So this is a day when everybody goes to the Botanic Gardens and celebrates all the work that they do and the fact that they are more than a garden. As you can see, and from the last months, they are vital to protecting our plants and our landscapes. And go to our website, which is BGANZ.org.au, and there's links there to all the events that are happening around Australia and New Zealand on Sunday. Some are happening on Saturday as well. Go along to your garden, take a photo, tag us with those hashtags that are written there, hashtag Botanic Gardens Day, hashtag Botanic Gardens Day 2024, and hashtag More Than a Garden 2024. And then we'll be able to share your photos and promote the day and promote Botanic Gardens and all the wonderful work they do. And the last thing we were going to do, Costa, was to ask
I'm ready. I'm ready.
You're ready? Fantastic. If they can think of a word that they associate with Botanic Gardens after hearing all those speakers, has their perception changed about what Botanic Gardens are?
Yeah.
And at the end of that, we've got we've made this word map, word cloud, whatever you want to call it, of all the words we've collected over the last 3 webinars. We don't have time to do one tonight. And just be interesting to see how they relate to each other. So if you want to put your words in the chat, and Costa will put some of them up on the screen, and then I will show you the word map that we've created. Well, Pippa's better half has created, or I shouldn't say that, Pippa's partner.
Look at this. Legacy, growth, habitat, inclusive, connection. Oops.
Fantastic.
Inclusive, connection,
Connections.
community. Wow, these words are coming thick and fast. Thanks, everyone. Plant friends. I could add that to dedication. I could call it planet friends as well.
For sure.
Diversity, biodiversity. Diversity, family, social well-being, collaboration. Wow, caring, sustainability, friends. I can't keep up with the comments at this stage. I'm
I
struggling.
don't know how you do it, Costa. You're like an octopus.
Education. If I look a little bit, sort of, I'm on the screen, but I'm sort of scanning away here. I'm not being rude to our speakers. I'm just managing. Together, that's a good one. Protectors of life, well-being. Wow. So what do you reckon?
Pretty good. Thanks, everyone. Well, we'll add those into the word map and put them on our socials. So there'll be an even more inclusive word map. Word cloud. I'm still not quite sure. Motivation.
Futurists. That's a good one.
Excellent.
Rosalind Baker and loving. There's a lot of love in our presentations today. Contribute. There's a lot of contribution. Loving from Chase. Thank you for still being with us up late, Chase. Kalamunda Plant Company. Love. Yeah, a lot of love. So many great contributions. I really loved. I want to go back and listen over some of those suggestions that you made. Really priceless suggestions. Or not suggestions, explanations of what you're doing to build the BGANZ and the Botanic Gardens community from the 3 of you tonight. It's been fantastic. Lisa, Friendship Plant Tribe, Guardians of Nature.
I tried to make a comment earlier that was, imagine if we had to pay these people, all the friends and all the volunteers in the gardens. We just couldn't. They're just priceless.
Yep. Totally. Propagation. Thanks, Giovanni. Totally. The propagating not just plants, but ideas, and actually propagating all of those other words that people have been throwing. It's propagating compassion and propagating hope and propagating friendship and love. Great use of a word from within our our tribe, let's say, but still.
Do you want to show that word map, Costa?
Yeah, let's do it. Here we go.
So this is from the last 3 webinars. And I think the bigger words are the ones that were more common. But look at that.
Sanctuary, connection, diversity, education, native nature, beauty, conservation, life, museum, wildlife, future, culture. Wow. There's a lot of there's a lot can be taken out of that. Any comments from our speakers? But can I go to our speakers for a final comment? I think that. What do you reckon, Beck?
Yeah, for sure.
So How will I do this? Maybe I'll take this away.
You can
And
take me off and put up the word.
no, you're staying. You're staying. I think I'll start from the top and come around. So, John, you're over my left shoulder.
Yeah,
I
that
feel
way.
like I'm having a tinny
Shoulder.
because I've got to turn the opposite direction. You're that way. So, John, you start. Give us your final closing comment.
I'm just amazed at all the people and their comments that they've actually put in, and I just think fantastic. The words just capture everything up. And one word I didn't see there was sanctuary, but they're sort of refuges, refuges for people, refuges for plants, and for all aspects of life. So I just and it's absolutely fantastic being part of a botanic garden and a friends group and mixing with the community. So I would just encourage everyone to look for something in your local botanic garden.
Thank you, John. So that means this hand, that hand, I've got to reach right through. I'm going to reach right through, and I'm just going to go tap, 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 tap. Oh,
I
Tracey.
think give it a go. Just give it a go. If you've been thinking about doing it and you haven't, now's the time. Come along on Sunday, sign up to be a friend. Costs you, I don't know, $10 a year. And that includes all your insurance, everything. And come along and give it a go. We'll do our best to find something that you really enjoy doing.
Oh, sorry, I didn't put you to the full screen there. I was.
No, that's okay. I'm going into the forest.
Yeah, get involved, sign up. Yeah, exactly. Good on you. Thanks, Tracey. And hang on. How do I don't know how. Yeah, down that way, across the ditch. Viv.
Well, I think the volunteering gives people a sense of purpose and self-worth. That's hard to say.
Oh, that is too true. And thank you for the contribution that you've put in tonight, staying up so late. And as Tanya says, that is worthiness. And it's been beautiful to have you with us and to build that connection that is BGANZ, that it is about opening up all of these ideas, all of these stories across Australia and New Zealand, so that we can learn from all the gardens, from the bigger city gardens right down to our community gardens that we've heard from this evening. So, Viv, big thank you. Tracey, thank you. And John, big thanks as well. I'll see you Sunday, Trace. Viv, there's a lot of people that are looking forward to coming to your botanic gardens as a result of hearing about your projects. Thank you for being part of it. And John, well, anyone here in Australia, get down to Melton and check out the garden there. They're doing great things. And and Beck, final thought.
Get into your botanic garden, do what you can, hug a tree, take a photo, tag us, and join your friends groups, and do something for yourself, but also for your community.
On that note, everyone, thank you for your comments. I know our guests will have a run through the comments here and check out any questions that we didn't get to. But gee, we got to plenty of questions. It's been amazing. I've had the best time, and I just love that my Thursdays are just this wonderful time in May where I'm like, ooh, where am I going to be? How am I going to be accessible and online and able to manage the DJ work on the platform? and from Yukala to Burmy to Coffs to now Lismore. It's a joy, and Rebecca, big thanks for putting up with all of the nuanced aspects of passing on the committees and the BGANZ team's info. And it always works out on the night.
Sure does. The show rolls on.
The juju is
Thank
way
you,
too
Costa.
good.
I don't know what you do, but it just works.
That's it, because it's the collective juju. And I'm sitting here, and our numbers, there's more people coming in. There's just more and more people coming in. It's just been excellent. So thanks, everyone. It's been a great month, and enjoy Sunday at a Botanic Gardens near you. And keep in touch. It's not just about May. It's about the whole year, and build those relationships with BGANZ. And we're out there. Keep in touch. And see you on Sunday in a garden somewhere. And keep an eye on my socials. I'll do something from Lismore with the team out there as well. So it's going to be fun. Ciao for now, everyone, and thanks for joining in.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
See you later.